Betrayed Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu's scathing attack on Australian PM. Shameful. He called us shameful. Yeah. Do you want me to... We'll just watch the video.
Well, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has launched a scathing attack on Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, claiming a short time ago that he has betrayed Israel. Let's go live to Jerusalem now, and I'm joined by our Middle East correspondent, Matthew Doran. Matthew, this is quite a strong statement that's coming from the Israeli PM. Why has he accused Anthony Albanese of betraying Israel?
Girish, good evening. You're right. This is an extraordinary personal attack from Benjamin Netanyahu to Anthony Albanese, and it has been fueled, we believe, on the decisions made in the last week and a bit with regards to Australia's foreign policy in the Middle East. First of all, that announcement last week by the Australian government that it would move to recognise a Palestinian state at the meeting of the UN General Assembly in September. And then since then, we have seen in the last couple of days the announcement that an Israeli figure, a far-right politician by the name of Simchat Rothman, has been banned from entering Australia for a speaking tour because...
Yeah, that's the guy that was... This guy wanted to come to Australia, and he was spewing all of these conspiracy theories, like there's no starving children in Gaza, this, that, and the other. Like, he wanted to come here and create like further divide in the Australian community. So I think it's 100% within the purview of the Australian government to decide who can and can't come into our country. And we have character tests. We can say, hey, this person's a dickhead. Like, I think it should officially be called the fuckwit assessment, because like nothing's worse than a fuckwit, right? Ask any Australian, like, you know, nothing's worse than a fuckwit. This guy is like the highest level of fuckwit. And the Australian government's well within its rights to not give that guy a visa. And yeah, you have no right to tell the Australian government what it can and can't do, Bibi Netanyahu. You don't like us telling you what to do. And we're telling you not to kill people. We're telling you not to annex countries and commit genocide. We're just not letting in a guy that's a dickhead into our country. Do you see the difference there? Little crybaby.
His views are deemed by the Home Affairs Minister and the Home Affairs Department to be incendiary and likely to fuel division across Australia as he tours around there. This comment from Benjamin Netanyahu followed the announcement yesterday by the Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar that Australian diplomats working in the West Bank, the Australian diplomatic representatives to the Palestinian Authority in Ramallah, would have their visas revoked. A significant move there, and also indicative of the control.
They're such little bitches. They're such little bitches. You hurt our feelings. We're going to kick you out. We're going to kick you out of... Well, Palestine, because the West Bank is Palestine. We're going to revoke your visas for Palestine. Which, by the way, like the fact that Israel has like governance of the West Bank is disgusting. And yeah, if we recognize Palestine... anyway, fuck me.
Control that Israel still has on movement in and out of the West Bank, and it's all now culminated in what we've seen in the last couple of hours with this post on social media by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office. In that post, he says specifically with regards to Anthony Albanese that history will remember Albanese for what he is, a weak politician who betrayed Israel and abandoned Australia's...
Okay, first of all, Bibi Netanyahu, history will remember Anthony Albanese as a person that eventually did the right thing. Probably should have done it, you know, probably a good 18 months before he did. Also, I don't know if you know this. You evil little freaking Sith Lord looking motherfucker. I don't know if you know this, but Australia has a lot of people of Palestinian descent. We have a lot of Arabs in this country. What about them? What about their need to feel represented, okay? The Jewish Australians don't have more rights than any other Australian. They don't get special treatment. They get treated the same way as everybody else under the law, hopefully. That's how it should work. That's how it works on paper.
Jews. This is a familiar line of rhetoric from Benjamin Netanyahu and from members of the Israeli government. Each and every time a country has acted in the last short while in a way which doesn't marry up with Israel's own policies, it does prompt a fiery response along these lines. But it is the first time that Anthony Albanese has been targeted in this way. He now joins a club there of other world leaders who face the ire of Benjamin Netanyahu, including the French President Emmanuel Macron and the British and Canadian Prime Ministers Mark Carney and Keir Starmer.
It's quite the extraordinary statement we just saw there from Benjamin Netanyahu. Matthew, what does this mean for Australia's relationship with Israel?
Well, you would have to say that there have been tensions present in this relationship for some time. Any moment where members of the Albanese government have criticised Israel in the last 6 months or so, saying things such as that the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is getting out of hand, that the policies by the Israeli government and the Israel Defence Forces are fueling starvation in the Strip. Each and every time they have been met with a fiery response. So you'd have to say that the relationship there is already incredibly strained. What we do need to say, though, is that there is a distinction to be drawn here between the legitimate questions and criticism levelled at the Israeli government and the Israeli Defence Forces and this issue of anti-Semitism.
You can't use anti-Semitism as a cudgel to beat people over the head with to stop criticism of something when you're doing the most abhorrent thing. In like international war crimes, a genocide is literally the worst thing you can do. And you can't use anti-Semitism and the attempted genocide of your people in World War II as a cudgel to hit everybody over the head with. Like, if anything, it just shows a type of psychopathy, right? That you could have that happen to your people and still be willing to do that to another people. The reason why people are becoming anti-Semitic is because they're seeing the actions of Israel and they're not separating that from people that happen to be Jewish. And when you keep on making the link between Israel and Jewish Australians, when Bibi Netanyahu is making that link, he is the one that is putting them together as a monolith. And then, if people see what the Israeli state is doing, then they will be anti-Semitic. So, I don't know, logic, mate, maybe use it.
This discrimination against the Jewish people. The position that Anthony Albanese and other members of the Australian government continue to put forward is that you can and you should be able to criticise the decisions of a government when it is acting in such a way in Gaza, but that does not mean an institution like the Australian government is therefore against every single Jewish person across Australia and around the world. We have seen the Netanyahu government continue to say that each and every time it is criticised, that is anti-Semitic. That is broadening out what anti-Semitism actually is there, but certainly that's the way that they are trying to present this, and it is fueling anger in Israel. A lot of questions as to whether or not Australia is a partner to Israel going forward, even as the Albanese government insists that it will be into the future.
And moving on to the war in Gaza. Now, Hamas says it has accepted a ceasefire proposal from Arab negotiators. What are the terms of this particular truce?
Yeah, this is a proposal put forward by Egypt and Qatar, who are trying to bring about some sort of mediated end to the war in Gaza. It appears, based on media reports, particularly in the Arab media, that this truce would involve a 60-day ceasefire in the initial stages, during which time half of the Israeli hostages still held by Hamas. There are 50 Israeli captives still in Gaza, 20 of whom are believed to be alive. During that 60-day period, half of them would be released. There would also, according to the terms of this deal, be a withdrawal by Israeli forces from key parts of Gaza. We do need to stress that this is a proposal which has been drafted by those mediators, accepted by Hamas, but we have not heard whether or not these terms are going to be accepted by Israel. So we shouldn't necessarily get ahead of ourselves and suggest that there is some sort of peace agreement in the offing. Certainly, Israel has continued to say that it has backed numerous ceasefire proposals drafted in part by the US government, these Witkoff proposals, the name there for the US Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff. Those are terms which Hamas has repeatedly denied, saying that they are built around safeguarding Israel's interests in this situation and do not go anywhere near trying to bring an end.
Well, yeah, the US has like a very, very, very obvious bias in this conflict. So, of course, any type of diplomatic envoys or whatever from America are going to come up with solutions that are very slanted. very heavily slanted in Israel's favor. It's just shitty. And yeah, just having common sense, just having even a moral stance on this situation will have you branded an anti-Semite, and that's just, it's just not working anymore. It's actually making people more anti-Semitic. They're like, well, if you're gonna call me anti-Semitic just for noticing that a bunch of women and children are being starved to death, and a bunch of like unarmed men are being like shot when they go to get what little aid there is available in Palestine, people are gonna say, well, if you're gonna call me anti-Semitic for doing that, I might as well actually be anti-Semitic. Let me go buy a copy of Mein Kampf, you know? There are some people that, you know, probably, we should check the book sales, see what's happening. I don't know. Ooh, France summons US ambassador over anti-Semitism allegations. Ooh, are the French gonna spank the Americans? Ooh, I might become a Francophile if that happens. Who do we hate more, the French or the Yanks? I reckon it's the Yanks. Let's watch them get spanked. I don't know, sounds hot. Maybe that should be a category on Pornhub. Like diplomats spanking each other. I would watch that.
The US is defending Ambassador Charles Kushner's comments accusing France of not doing enough to combat anti-Semitic violence. Kushner made the allegations in a letter to President Emmanuel Macron, the French foreign...
Wait, is that the Kushner that family that Ivanka Trump is married into? Did he give a nepotism job to... Hang on. What is Jared Kushner's dad's name? What? He gave an ambassador job to his daughter's father-in-law. In 2005, he was nominated by President Donald Trump to serve as United States ambassador to France during his second administration. He was confirmed by the United States Senate on the 19th of May, 2025 by a vote of 51 to 45. He gave his daughter, I don't know how he's related to Donald Trump, but that's Ivanka's father-in-law. He gave Ivanka's father-in-law an ambassador job. Dude, what? What the fuck? Yuck. Everything's so stinky. Everything is so stinky. No one cares what you think. He's a billionaire as well. I know he's like a property billionaire. That's why his kids are like the way they are, I guess. I don't really know. I know his other son is like married to Carly Kloss, like the supermodel. I know too much gossip, guys. I have a problem.
The ministry says Kushner's accusations are unacceptable. They've summoned him to face what is expected to be a diplomatic rebuke. Rosalind Jordan reports from Washington, D.C.
Mr. Kushner accused Macron and his government of turning a blind eye to anti-Semitic violence across France, of doing nothing to prevent it, and also criticizing the French government for saying that it's going to recognize an independent Palestinian state at the upcoming UN General Assembly. The French Foreign Ministry took umbrage, published the letter in the newspapers late on Sunday evening in France, and has now summoned Mr. Kushner to the Foreign Ministry for what can only be imagined would be a dressing down. The French Ministry told the French press that what Mr. Kushner has done is a violation of international diplomatic treaties in which ambassadors are not supposed to interfere with internal political and foreign policy.
Yeah, but the thing is, this guy's so rich, he's used to be able to do what he wants. He obviously hasn't done any diplomatic training. Like, you know, the course like at university that all the little rich kids study, like international relations, that's like typically like the degree program that you would do to become a diplomat. This guy hasn't studied any of that. He's literally a billionaire. He's a billionaire, so he's used to like ruling by edicts to like his, you know, employees. People listen to him, people are scared. He's probably very litigious, as a lot of these people are. Definitely not the type of like person that you would want in a diplomatic role. Like it's yeah, not great, one would say, I guess. Yeah, and what do you know, he pissed the French off. Yeah, don't tell people what to do in their own country. You're a fucking guest, mate. Fucking mind your manners. You hate the idea of money and power? Well, hate to break it to you, Raven, but it's that's all. Those things are intrinsically linked. It's you can't have power without money and money without power. I know you know. I know you know. I'm just making redundant statements for comedic purposes.